This is the final CHGO Blackhawks of the offseason officially. Let's go. More coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks.
We're giddy.
Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi. Katie Duffy's running the show for us today here in Studio B, where we've been all week, and is wreaking havoc on my back. I'm fine. Just going to have to be carried out of here on a stretcher, but Katie's got that. She already signed up for it. So thanks for being with us. Do us a favor. Hit that like button for us.
So you're saying you didn't pass your physical today?
No. I don't think I'd pass
Hawks Media physical.
No. They'd go, oh no. Oh, dear God. Call an ambulance immediately. It is not good. Yeah, I'm at the age now where I get hurt doing nothing. Like I'm literally on 800 milligrams of ibuprofen. I brought in a TENS unit to electrify my back the whole way here. I'm covered in icy hot. And what did I do? Not sure. Maybe put a sock on, potentially put my jeans on yesterday morning, and I am just, I'm in bad shape.
Took a step.
Yeah, I need to be ready for camp tomorrow, though. I got less, about 12 hours to get it together here. But we'll be fine. Ibuprofen, good stuff. Way to go, science.
Just lay down on the ice. That'll keep it nice and cool.
That's right. Just skate around me. Put the cone. You know what? I'll be the
you at center ice.
Yeah,
just like sprawled out.
Exactly. Well, they bring out the mannequins, right? To help them. You could skate around me.
Yeah.
Use me as for agility drills.
You're the obstacle. You're that the thing they put on the ice that they pass the pucks off.
Right. And I'll
bounce off.
Once I get up, there'll be a big melted part of the ice from my icy hot on my body, just melting everything around me. Anyway, I'll be fine. This is not the first time or the last time I'll throw out my back doing nothing. So thanks for being with us. Hit that like button and I get another milligram of ibuprofen for every like. So I'd appreciate that.
Every like
we have the like button hooked up to
shot of painkiller into Jay.
We have it hooked up to a machine that just gives me a every time the like button is hit.
You're going to be drooling by the end of the show.
Well, what else is new? Anyway, we appreciate you being with us. Hit that like button for us. Subscribe to the YouTube page as well. Podcast listeners, follow, subscribe, rate, review. I'm going to ask all of our listeners for a favor. And we are still a startup, right? We're 3 years into this thing?
I was told yesterday we still were, yes.
We are still considered a startup. And I think one of the struggles we have here is creating awareness, because as we're trying to become more than a startup, the extra money is not really there for advertising and spreading the word in traditional ways. So we really rely on word of mouth, retweets, telling a friend. With camp opening tomorrow, if you've got a Hawks fan in your life that doesn't know about us, let them know. Send them a link to the podcast. Send them a link to the YouTube page or a specific episode you think they might like. Let them know. Also, tomorrow morning, I have a scheduled tweet going out introducing ourselves to Hawks fans with the opening and training camp. If you see that, please retweet it. We would really appreciate that. Reshare it. But really, word of mouth is is the best way to help us here. And I think there's a large percentage of Hawks fans that would love to know about us that just don't. And we need your help to do that. Like yesterday on my For You page, or whatever they call it on Twitter, I saw like a bunch of people tweeting about, I met Connor Bedard, I met Frank Nazar at the Union Station, and I'm looking at their profiles, and none of them are following us. None of them are following the show, and it's like they need to know. If they're getting up in the morning and they're meeting friends at Union Station and meet Blackhawks, it sounds like they need to know about our show. So help them know about us. Spread the word. It goes a long way. And it's not just us. It's all the CHGO shows except the Bears. They don't need our help. They got plenty of help. No, but help them too.
Absolutely, yeah. Across the board, doing that, it's the Jerry Maguire line. Help me help you.
Yes.
Because the more you do that, the more that we can do fun things and grow what we can do with the show, what we can do with events and everything like that. And that benefits you, the fans, and everyone. So yeah, that's much appreciated. Something else that helps us in that visibility and word of mouth in that lane is when you go to Hawks stuff, and if you have CHGO merch, wear it.
Yeah.
Because that can bring eyes to a shirt that is a Blackhawks shirt that can stick out from the traditional jerseys or anything like that, that someone might say, hey, that's a different shirt. I've never seen that before. What is it? And then you have the opportunity to say, well, it's CHGO Sports, and they do this and all that stuff. So that's a big thing. I know I've worn, on Sundays, some of our CHGO Bears stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'll get like double takes at like the grocery store, and they're like, wait, is that a Bear shirt? I'm like, yeah, it's actually CHGO Bears, and go into the spiel for them. Right. But yeah, we got really cool designs with the Connor Bedard,
future of the game,
future of the game, the 8-bit,
got a Roenick and a Bedard.
Roenick.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
27. A number 27 inspired.
Yeah,
and a number 98 inspired.
We got we had the Taze one, we had the Chelios one, we had the Hossa one, like a lot of cool things. So check those out. That's definitely a big help. And if anyone knows, Katie, I don't know if you got the message in the Slack there. Josh Friedman of WGN posted a picture yesterday of Frank Nazar, or rather Alex Vlasic and Connor Bedard getting mic'd up for their TV hit. And in the background of this picture, we've tried to do it in the Discord, haven't really had much luck identifying this person. But if you or someone you know knows the person who was wearing the CHGO Blackhawks shirt just behind Alex Vlasic and Connor Bedard as WGN was doing their TV hit yesterday at Union Station, identify them or themselves. We'd love to shout them out and thank them for wearing the CHGO Blackhawks t-shirt front and center on the broadcast there out at Union Station. Stuff like that. You see it on the screen there. That's awesome. I saw that yesterday and like my eyes like popped out. I was like, holy crap, that's one of our shirts. Nice. Like out in the wild. Yeah, just like stuff like that. Like that's really cool to see, and it still like hits me, and it's just like, hey, someone's like out there.
People actually listen.
Love that, like what we do so much so that they not only, we know people like buy our merch. We get the sales numbers and stuff, but to see it out in the wild or organically is just like, that's awesome. Like that's really cool. So
funny you mentioned that.
If that's you, hit us up and we'd love to shout you out.
Yeah, and funny you mentioned the merch because we currently have a merch sale going on right now. 20% off all on-hand products, so pre-sale items and print-on-demand items are not included, but most of the stuff we have is on sale for 20%, and there are some items up for 85% off our shop. So go check it out. Go to allchgo.com and go over to our store there, or it's store.allcitynetwork.com, and it's company-wide. So if you're looking for a PHNX Sun shirt or a DLLS Maverick shirt, whatever it might be, they're all on sale. They're all 20% off. And Bex in the chat, who we've not seen in a while. Hey, Bex, is in a CHGO shirt as we speak. That's great.
She was down at Union Station and got featured on CHSN.
Nice.
So that was cool for her.
I've been paying for CHSN now for several months, and I don't think I've watched it yet.
Well, it's Hawk season.
I'm going to start watching it a lot now.
You'll start watching now.
100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all right. Well, now that we're through all that, training camp starts tomorrow. First practice at 8:30 in the morning. We will be there. Kyle Davidson's going to speak tomorrow at 11 as well. We'll bring back that at probably the entire thing, unless it's like 40 minutes. I can't imagine it will be, but we'll bring back the important stuff from Kyle Davidson tomorrow. But in the meantime, this morning, Mario at All CHGO published his 12 storylines going to camp. So why don't we just kind of one by one go through these and discuss them, and might have to go to overtime today, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll try and we'll be concise.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things we've talked about all summer.
What?
But yeah, training camp eve. I'm very excited for tomorrow, and a lot of these questions are more season-long things, not necessarily training camp things, but definitely things to keep an eye on as we progress through the next few weeks, and as we get closer to that October 7th season opener against the two-time defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. But first question that I'm looking at going into this season, going into training camp, is who is helping Connor Bedard? We've talked about it a lot, basically since May of 2023 when they won the draft lottery. Who's going to help him? I think this year, out of the group that's going to be in the top 6 forwards group, as a collective, it's probably the most collective talent he's played with. Now you got to find who's going to be his running mate.
Who's going to be right there with him. Yeah, so, that's always the question, who the line mates are going to be. And I saw you mentioned Ryan Donato, who spent a lot of last season with him. Teuvo Teravainen, who really has not spent any time with him at even strength really at all.
Yeah.
Which is so strange because it really felt like, boy, Teuvo was designed to be that dude with Bedard, and neither Richardson nor Sorensen really put them with him very often. So interested to see what Jeff Blashill rolls out at training camp. Andrei Burakovsky, obviously a candidate too. But here's what I'll say in terms of helping Bedard, and this isn't even directly as a line mate. Frank Nazar has built a bit of a reputation for himself here, be it the performance at the World Championships, be it the new contract. People are starting to notice Frank Nazar, and I think the fact that other teams have another offensive player that they feel they need to plan for is going to take a lot of pressure off Connor Bedard, because for the longest time, if you stopped 98, you stopped the entire team.
Yeah.
And I think now you've got a little bit more depth with the emergence of Nazar, and who knows who else makes the team. We'll get to the roster battles later in the show. But just by having a second line that can actually be a threat to score is going to ease a lot of the pressure off Connor Bedard, I think.
Yeah, you have to have another option on your mind. And I think last year, maybe Ryan Donato's career year may have been aided by we're just going to stop Bedard. Well, then Ryan Donato was having a really good season last year, and then was able to maybe find some opportunities that were left open, because teams would say, we're going to, do we need to stop Ryan Donato tonight? Are we going to, if Ryan Donato kills us tonight, you live with that because you plan to stop Bedard, and then, Donato has a career year. So maybe there is something to Nazar and Bedard starting to have to take up more brain space in the game planning for the opposition. So a person like Ryan Donato can continue to play the way that he did last year, or Teuvo Teravainen could have, quote unquote, a bounce back year where, he was a little inconsistent to start, but then was able to kind of find it midway through the season. Maybe Tyler Bertuzzi is a guy that is a little bit more consistent in his production this season.
Yeah. Because it was there. His production was there. And at the end of the year, like, okay, that's what you expect. But there were weeks where he'd have 12 points in 5 games, and then there'd be weeks where he had no points in 10 games.
Didn't he go? He went on a 0 goals in 21 game stretch or
something
like that.
Crazy
it was
like
a
that.
long time. And it came right off of a 8 goals in 9 games run.
I'll say though too that Bertuzzi's production is very much puck possession dictated.
Yeah.
Because that's a guy who makes his hay in front of the net or next to the net. So if they don't have the puck very often, he's not going to get opportunities to score. And I do think now it's kind of on the same beat of, hey, you're going to put you're going to have to commit defense to the second line too. Mm-hmm. I think the Hawks will have the puck more with more talent offensively, both up front and on the back end. There will be those times where they're getting globe-trotted by the opponent. Yeah, but I feel like for the first time in years, we're going to see them do that to some teams this year too.
That'd be nice. Yeah. And that's help for Bedard is it can be a collective too. You look at
exactly.
If the defense is able to play in transition and hold the puck more than they have in the last few seasons, that helps a lot too.
All right. We got to hit the break zone, Katie. All right. We'll get to number 2 of 12. It's like Mailbag Monday with our pace.
We'll be fast. The first 9 minutes were tomfoolery.
Yes. All right. We'll be back in 2 minutes right here on CHGO Blackhawks. Hit the like button for us. Let's get real for a second. You know it. I know it. The world has gone soft. Even softer is the world of soft drinks. That is the right word for it. With your sparkling acai, limoncello, peach fuzz. No one wants this. No one asked for this. You want real cola. RC Cola is real cola. It's an OG cola in a world of spineless soft drinks. There's no trends, no gimmicks, no glow up. I promise you there will not be a blackberry RC. That's not happening. All right? RC hasn't changed its stripes since 1905 because it didn't need to. It was already perfect. It's the same bold, crisp flavor it's always been. RC Cola tastes like a punch in the thirst. Stock up for all your end of summer parties, your sports games, everything. RC's the move for whatever you're doing. RC Cola is not a soft drink, just damn good cola.
Hey, athletes, I have a question for you. Are you serious about leveling up your game? If so, the right coach can change everything. And now finding that right coach is easier than ever with Eye on the Ball. Doesn't matter if you're a kid just starting out or competing at the top levels. You can sign up totally free at eyeontheball.net. Create your profile, search through coaches in your sport, and connect directly with the one that's right for you. From soccer to swimming to baseball to basketball to football and hockey, you name it, the coaches are out there waiting to coach you up.
Badminton.
Cannot confirm nor deny. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach could be one click away. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Find your coach and take your game to the next level. And coaches, it's super easy. You sign up, upload your background check, and find the athletes that want to be coached by you.
That was good. I kind of matched the
it.
pose today.
I think we got it.
Yes.
Nice.
Fun.
Third shows the charm.
It's like a fun mini game for me. I think my Dr. Pepper can, which is fine because it's from the RC family of products.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's always good to have an appointment with the doctor.
Exactly. Yes. RC is being also injected into my bag to make it less soft. So, yeah, we appreciate that. All right. Number 2 on the list. What do we got?
Speaking of the forwards group and who could help Connor Bedard, can Ryan Donato duplicate last season's results?
No.
Okay, next.
I'm just being realistic. I
get it. Look,
but it's okay. It's okay if he doesn't.
Yeah, is the expectation Ryan Donato is now a 30-point or a 30-goal, 60-point guy? I don't think it should be by anyone.
Right.
By anyone that's got a realistic viewpoint of things. But that's not to say he can't be a guy that is effective to the tune of 40 to 50 points.
I agree.
I think
25 and 25 looks really good.
I think that's entirely attainable for a guy who, has a versatility to him. We've seen him play on a power play. We've seen him play on the top line. We've seen him play penalty kill. We've seen him play fourth line.
Yeah.
He can move around and he can play with a lot of different styles of players. But I do think he is probably going to get a opportunity to play along with Connor Bedard to at least start the season.
I agree.
We'll have to see how Jeff Blashill and his staff sees things starting with tomorrow and how they group those guys together. But I think Ryan Donato is going to be an elevated version of himself from his previous resume. I don't think he's necessarily going to be the guy he was last year.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think 50 points as a ceiling, and if they want to put my big dumb face on the bulletin board saying no, that's fine. Because I think Ryan Donato is a guy who has been motivated by people doubting him and the constant movement and no team really committing to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really motivated him, and he put the work in. Not this past. I mean, yes, he put work in this summer. I'm positive. But 2 summers ago, to really add that dimension of skating, and it made a massive difference for him. So if he's a 50-point guy, even if he's 20 and 20 or 20 and 25, you're pretty happy with that because that's. So I think you'd say like Ryan Donald's kind of like found money. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really. Like
last season was, yeah.
Yeah.
And you look at his contract, as we were talking leading up to it being signed, we were expecting it to be $5-6 million a year,
right?
Maybe more if he had gone to the free agent market, looking how that had shaped out. But to get him at $4 million is like, even if he is a 45-point guy, for $4 million for someone who's going to play, who can play in every role that you want him to, like that's a good deal. So I'm not hinging this season on him being a 60-point guy, but no. I would love to see what kind of version of him shows up for the 82 games.
What to you would be a disappointing point total for Donato? Like
if he goes back to being like a 30-point guy,
yeah,
I think that would be a little disappointing. If he's 40 or more, then I think you're going to be satisfied.
Well, and Giggity brings up a good point. He says there's no shot. People asked the same about Dickinson after a season 2 years ago when he wasn't close. I mean, every player has that outlier season. So 2023-24, Dickinson has 22 goals and 13 points and 13 assists for 35 points. That's in 82 games. Last year, played only 59 games.
Yeah, he was
7 goals,
hurt.
9 assists. So I think it also felt like even before he missed like a significant amount of time, he was playing banged up.
I think he was.
He sort of would talk about that a little bit. It happens to everybody. But yes, there was a big drop off. So I do think it's pretty logical to say last year for Donato was going to be the outlier season for him, but I don't think there's going to be a big cliff drop from last year to this year.
Yeah.
Like there have been for other players.
I think it's going to be a Jonathan Chichu situation.
Yeah, like when you look at what Donato does, the versatility he brings, the opportunity he's going to get. If he's not with Berard, he'll be with Nazar in the top 6. He's going to get his opportunities. He'll probably be on the power play, so he will pick up the points. 61 points, probably not.
And if he's down on the 4th line, it's probably because someone else has played their way into the top 6.
Right, it's because Oliver Moore has been awesome or something like that.
Yeah, which would be a really good cause and effect.
All right, what do we got? Number 3.
Is Sam Rinzel ready for top pair assignments?
Yes.
I think he is. I think it's a heavy expectation and a lot to put on a 21-year-old's shoulders who's still an NHL rookie. But I think he's a guy that is going to accept that challenge, embrace it, and not that he's going to be perfect. There's going to be ups and downs, as there always is with young defensemen. But I think he's going to be a guy that can shoulder that 20-minute a night, play on the power play, have some tough matchups. He's likely going to do it alongside Alex Vlasic, which should give him some good comfort there. So I think he's ready. I think he's going to be able to do it. To what degree of effectiveness, we'll see. He might do it because you need him to do it, because as we talked about the right side of the defense,
it's thin.
Not very deep as far as like experience and guys that you know exactly what you're going to get other than Connor Murphy. But I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to handle that.
Yeah, kind of on the same token where Vlasic is going to help Rinzel, I also think it's going to work the other way too. I think that Rinzel, being as dependable defensively as he's been, is going to give Alex Vlasic a little more freedom too. And I think we felt for a long time that there's a little more offense there with Vlasic. We saw it a little bit after Seth Jones got traded. He got some of the opportunities Jones was getting. But now playing with a guy like Rinzel, who you don't really have to worry about. Now, if they were to flip things and put Levchinov with Vlasic, which I actually wouldn't hate.
No, I wouldn't either.
Because then you've got the really defensively reliable guy to kind of make up for any mistakes Levchinov's going to make. Mm-hmm. I almost would prefer that. Then you see Vlasic's numbers go down. But if you got him with Rinzel, that's 2 defensively reliable defenders that can both move the puck, and you could see both of them benefiting each other offensively too.
Yeah, I think if you were to put Levchinov up there, you're setting Vlasic up to be like, you're the safety valve. Mm-hmm. Let the unicorn go and be a little bit more free offensively, whereas Rinzel has the ability to jump in and play really effective offensively. And there were times during the Tom Curvers game, there were times in the 9 games that he played last year where he would get down below the circles in the offensive zone trying to create things, but his skating ability is able to allow him to make up for getting back defensively and being able to move with that speed and awareness. Same thing with Levchinov. Like both of those guys offensively have the ability to jump in and be effective while also not being necessarily liabilities defensely. Now, their games need growth in those aspects of it.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
But they're not inept in any way that I would say.
All right, what's number 4?
Number 4 is Frank Nazar, a long-term center. Okay. And I think right now he's getting the opportunity. I think he will get the opportunity to be the number 2 center to start the season behind Connor Bedard. I think that's going to be the 1-2 down the middle that they start the season with. But is he going to be there long-term, I think is going to be an interesting thing to see, because maybe at some point this season we see the 2 of them play together where one's a center, one's a wing. whoever you want to be at center in that scenario, take your pick. I think the door is open for both of them to have effectiveness both down the middle or on the wing. The other thing is, long term, when you look at it, Anton Frondell right now is playing center in Sweden.
Yep.
Is he a number 2 center, or is he going to play alongside Bedard? Sasha Boisvert, maybe his ceiling is number 2 center, but if he hits it, do you play him down the middle as more of a prototypical centerman compared to Nazar as far as stature and style of play and everything? But hey, it's a good problem to have that the Blackhawks really haven't, that the options for number 2 center are plentiful rather than, well, Michael Handzus or Brad Richards. Like,
right,
I think they're in a good position for the outlook for that position.
I will say it'd be nice to have a little bit of certainty that, yes, this guy is definitively a center. And I think we don't really have that with any of these guys they've drafted. You know, Bedard, I think, is still a question. Nazar, obviously. Frondell and Boisvert. I think Boisvert seems to be the most natural, obvious center of the group based on what we know so far. Again, he's playing college hockey. Things can certainly change.
Right.
We'll see what he does at Boston this year, but I'd like a little more certainty there. But you also know you have several guys capable of doing it instead of just, well, we've got 8 wingers and no centers. I'd rather have a bunch of guys that can do it.
Yeah.
Maybe no ideal answers, but with Nazar specifically, which is the question at hand, I don't have any concerns about him at center. Like, face-off percentage is important, but to me, like, the difference between 52% and 48%, it's not that big. It's only 4%. It's a difference. It's my quick math.
That's true. Was that a ding for that being correct?
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
That was for that not being you pushed a button. That is great timing because you are correct. Yeah. That is a difference of 4%.
My laptop is just really proud of you. Like, that's what it was.
It heard a right math question.
But really, think about this. Like, that means that out of 100 faceoffs, he lost 4 more than he. So it's really not at the end. But if we're talking 42%, 40%. Then you start to get a little bit concerned with the face-off numbers. Anywhere between anything above 45, I'm willing to live with, because when I think about just going through your head, your brain's highlight reel of Frank Nazar, isn't everything pretty much down the middle? He is a guy willing to go to the hard areas. He weaves his way through traffic. He is not afraid to play down the middle, so I'm not afraid to put him there. I think that he'll be fine. The face-offs will improve. We know he's going to put the work in, so I'm very comfortable with him being center right now, because look, once the face-off is dropped, he's still very capable of doing center things, win or lose with the face-off.
Yeah, you can play as a wing and be a guy that attacks the middle,
right? Or
you can be a center that is effective right down the middle of the ice. And I think too, like, you look at his numbers, 44.6% face-off percentage last year. If Connor Bedard was doing that, we'd be ecstatic. Right. So, and I think those guys, as they get more experience, as they, learn some tricks of the trade a little bit more in the NHL, those numbers will go up. As they get stronger, those numbers will go up. So that's a good thing. But it's not a face-off is not necessarily a live or die stat. But it is nicer to be closer to or above 50% than not. But I think, for the long term with Frank Nazar, if you have a guy that you could play on the power play, play on the penalty kill, can win you a decent amount of faceoffs and brings that offensive threat, that speed threat right down the center of the ice, I think that's a valuable asset. And if you have a guy established as that number 2 center, if Connor Bedard's your number 1, Frank Nazar's your number 2, then you say, okay, what's pecking order? Well, if you don't need Anton Frondell to be a center, then perfect. He's a top 6 wing, and that's a scoring threat, that's a playmaking threat, that's a two-way threat on the wing. You love that. If Sasha Boisvert doesn't need to be a number 2 center, you could say, okay, well, then you have a really good number 3 center. Then you can say, well, maybe Oliver Moore doesn't even need to worry about center. He can be a winger for the long term, and you start to just kind of place a lot of these young forwards for the long term into positions of, maximizing their opportunities rather than having to kind of pigeonhole them into different boxes of like, well, they have to be a center, so they have to be a center. So, down the line, okay, now you have a number 3 guy being number 2 because they have to be a center. Well, if Nazar's that guy, it frees up the rest of the lineup. And
Steve brings up a good point. He says face-off wins also require good wingers that can get the 50-50 pucks. The difference of 48 to 52 is often the wingers. That's a really good point. And I think based on what we've heard from Jeff Flashel so far, that term, that winning hockey, that's supporting your teammates. That's getting into the mix, because it's very rare that a face-off is just one clean, where it's like, boop, just like in NHL 20, whatever you want to say, you win the face-off and it goes directly on the tape of your point man every time. Right. That's typically not how face-offs work. There's a little bit of a battle. A lot of times
it's just two guys just tie up sticks and then someone has to go in there and dig it out.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's like a rugby play.
That is also part of the coaching. All right, break zone time. Make sure you do us a favor and hit that like button. We're at 75 likes. We need more than that. We got 175 people watching. That means 100 of you have not hit the like button. That's not cool.
Ding.
It takes half a second
to
hit the like button. Do it. And we'll be back in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks.
Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake is slashing prices on new cars and giving you big savings all month long. Come in today to shop the model year-end sales event and drive home with employee pricing on every new Chevrolet model. You can get $3,000 to $11,000 off MSRP. And as always, check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you're getting a great deal. And with Ray's Price Promise, you can shop confidently because the price you see is the price you pay. Don't miss out on their model year-end sales event going on all month long with employee pricing on every new Chevrolet model. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
And there's nothing quite like going to an NFL game, especially when the team coming to town this weekend is almost as miserable as your own team.
Almost.
The shared community of losing, with the Cowboys and the Bears coming into town. Mario's Dallas Cowboys coming into town to face our Chicago Bears. Should be a barn burner. Get your tickets on Game Time. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets. It's super easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust you're going to get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. You don't want the tickets when the third quarter starts. That's not on time. No, you don't want that. Fees are included, so you know your total up front, so there's no surprises. They've got zone deals. You can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose its seats. Take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. And it is our Big Brothers, Big Sisters month of giving here at CHGO and ALLCITY, raising some money for a great cause. Big Brothers, Big Sisters, they've been at it for over 100 years doing big things. We're asking you to chip in a few bucks to Big Brothers Big Sisters. Go to bbbs.org/ALLCITY to help support our efforts in a very meaningful way. I've said this every show, and it seems to kind of translate. If everybody watching sacrificed a cup of coffee a week, so $5, a $5 donation, make it at home tomorrow and chip in $5 to Big Brothers Big Sisters. If everybody did that, it would go a really long way. So bbbs.org/ALLCITY. We're super proud to be connected with Big Brothers Big Sisters. Now through the end of the month, we're raising funds. We're also, if you don't have money to give, which is understandable, you go to bbbs.org and click that Get Involved tab and become a big. All that takes is time. So do it. Anything helps, even if it's $1.
Yes.
Throw it in there. It's going to help. It's going to go a long way, longer than you think. It makes a bigger difference than you can imagine. So please do that, bbbs.org/ALLCITY. We have a super chat we want to get to as well. This one comes to us from Mike Heilman. Says, if Donato is paired with Bedard, he can produce less than 50. I think it's probably supposed to say more than. I think he used the wrong sign.
Yes.
I could produce less than 50 if I was with Bedard.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Man, you are 3 for 3 on the math today.
Look at me.
Yeah, that's part of my thinking, is that as Connor Bedard develops as an NHL player. And I think a lot of people are expecting big things from him in year 3. We've talked a lot about his offseason and how he's kind of approached this training regimen and didn't go to world championships and all that. We're expecting a new version of Connor Bedard that can maybe be a step faster, maybe have a new trick in his bag to use at the NHL level, and that's only going to benefit not only himself but the guys around him. And so if it is Ryan Donato, I think that's another feather in the cap for Donato to be a 50-point guy or more.
All right, on to number 5 on Mario's countdown of 12 training camp stories to keep an eye on.
We've talked about this guy already, but I think there's still a little bit of a question mark. Is Artem Levshunov ready for a full NHL season?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I think that if it's up to me, would I like him to start the season in Chicago? Yes. But do I think if he does that, he is guaranteed to stick for 82 games? No. I think there are some things about Levshunov's game that could, if they pile up, benefit from some time in Rockford to sort of clean things up, reset. And if that happens, I don't think there's any reason to pull an alarm. I think that he is a 20-year-old defenseman getting comfortable with NHL hockey, with pro hockey, with North American lifestyle in general. He's gone through a lot over the last several years in terms of culture shock and all those sort of things. Mm-hmm. He also plays a game that's a little bit unique in the fact that he will take risks and he will put himself in danger to make a play. And I think he might learn some hard lessons at the NHL level this year. I'm willing to see those lessons learned because they're not competing for a playoff spot this year. They're obviously not competing for a cup. So let him make those mistakes here. But if it starts to pile up, and Jeff Blashill and his staff start to see, look, he's really fighting it right now. He's in his own head. Send him back to Rockford for a week or 2 weeks, whatever it might be. Let him clean things up and work his way back. I don't think that if that happens, it would be a big deal.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think, and something that I think we've kind of learned about Levshunov over the last season is, we've talked about his quick level changes in competition over the years from USHL to NCAA, AHL, and then NHL. He'll be 20 years old shortly into the start of this regular season. So he still has a lot of growth to go in his game and a lot of lessons to learn. Same as, a guy like Rinzel, same as a lot of these young defensemen. They're still going to go through those ups and downs. And I think it was Chris Pronger has said before that you kind of take about 300 games as an NHL defenseman before you usually figure things out. Mm-hmm. The only person who's played 300 games in the NHL in this defensive group is Connor Murphy. So all these guys have a lot of things to learn and kind of some figuring out of themselves at the NHL level of what they're going to be. But with Levshunov, we saw, whether it was Tom Curvers this past weekend or whether it's his time in the AHL, there were times where it almost felt like he wasn't being challenged, so he didn't rise to it.
Yes.
I think being in the NHL is going to force him to rise to it night in and night out. And I think that would be a good challenge for him to keep him engaged. I'm not saying that he is a lackadaisical, doesn't care player. No. I think he's a guy that has a talent level and a belief in himself that he needs the NHL time to be challenged and to try and evolve his game at that level.
No, dude, that's very accurate, and it's a great observation. And I mean, this happens at every level. Not that it's exactly the same thing. It's close, but not exactly. As I coach 16U softball.
That's pretty close.
And when the best players are not being challenged, their game regresses a little bit because it's like, all right, well, this doesn't matter. I'm not super invested in this. Like, there's rec ball and there's travel ball, and you see a different level of play from all of them when the intensity is ratcheted up. Mm-hmm. You also see when the intensity gets ratcheted up and things don't go well, a much more emotional and difficult tailspin for some. So that's the other thing you got to keep an eye on from Levshunov too. But that dude's personality, there's nothing that makes me think he's going to be like, oh God, I'm bad, what am I going to do? Like Levshov seems like everything just rolls off his back, good and bad.
Life
he's
goes
never,
on.
Yeah, he's never going to get too high or too low. So I think that I'm going to predict that this camp, the Hawks have the same thing in mind they did last year for Frank Nazar. There's a spot here. It's open. If you've got the camp we're expecting you to have, it's yours. If not, we'll send you back for a while and call you up when you're ready. I think Frank Nazar had an opportunity to win a job out of camp, kind of struggled in the preseason. I think he knew that there was a spotlight on him and there was an opportunity there, and I think he was maybe trying to do a little too much. Went to Rockford, dominated. There was no reason to keep him down there anymore. They brought him up. So if Levshov doesn't make it out of camp, which I think they're hoping he does, I think it'll be a very similar to the Nazar plan.
They kind of need him on that right side, as
Yes,
we've
they
talked
do.
about.
I mean, unless you're going to start with Louis Crevier over there, or I mean, look, you still got Nolan Allen who can play both sides. The Matt Grzelcyk thing adds a dimension to. He's a left side defenseman, but
that gives you someone who, if you do have to put Del Mastro or Allen on the right side, then you have a guy that's more
another veteran
natural to the left side,
right?
Should they sign him,
and a guy you don't have to worry about the development part of the game.
No.
So yeah,
you can give Matt Grzelcyk 16 minutes and be okay with it.
Exactly.
All right, especially this team.
I'm losing track. Number 6.
The
next one. On to the next.
We'll get to all 12.
By the way, we're 2 away from 100 likes. Someone do it.
Come on. Let's go. The next question in training camp: what's up with Laurent Brossoit?
He did.
He's on the training camp roster, denoted with an injury. We talked to Kyle tomorrow, and as Meeksta in the chat says, we need to bombard KD about Brossoit this season. It'll be brought up tomorrow for sure.
I mean, I don't know if he needs to be bombarded. It's not.
No, not bombarded.
He didn't hit him with a steel pipe or anything.
We just need to have a little bit of.
I'd like clarity. A little more honesty when it comes.
I'd like to.
It's been 3 weeks for a year.
I'd like to know is there any reason to think that he's going to play this year, or
we're hopeful.
Is he going to, or is it going to be a part of the organization? Because that's something that kind of looms over the goaltender group. Like Spencer Knight, he's your starter.
Yeah,
but Drew Comezzo and Arvid Soderblom kind of have to figure out: do you need to think about Laurent Brossoit potentially taking ice time away from you, whether it's the NHL or AHL, or do you not? I think you just want to have a little clarity about that. Or is this a situation where he did something last August that screwed him up so bad that this is now Shea Weber, Carey Price situation, which I hope it's not, because the guy's he's only 32?
Yeah.
Like, he can still play in the league if his body allows him. So I just want to know what's going on. If he can play, then that adds a wrinkle to the goaltending situation and adds somebody who should be NHL caliber to a group of basically 4 guys that you could say they could play in the NHL.
Yeah, I think that, and Bill says we deserve to know. I think the Hawks are doing their best to. They can't just be like, yeah, he's hurt forever. That does not protect their asset. If he does come back and they're trying to move him, like, there's more to it than just being, frankly, completely honest. But I just think a way that Kyle Davidson can answer it is, we are not counting on having Laurent in camp soon, so we're moving forward as if he's not here. And if he gets healthy, he'll have every opportunity to earn a spot and play. I think that's fair.
And physicals are today, so who knows? We might hear from someone who's plugged in to the team that can get that kind of information that says, like, hey, by the way, maybe it's Saravalli or Friedman or someone, and they were just like, oh, it sounds like things are good or bad coming out of physicals from the Blackhawks. We don't know. But that's today, and tomorrow maybe there will be an answer. I hope there will be.
Yeah, I've seen there's been some news around the league of guys, hey, by the way, this guy, like Nick Paul, had surgery this week, so he'll miss some time. Like, we're starting to get those reports of the injuries no one knew about, sort of stuff.
Matthew Tkachuk has got a timeline that he's out till December, and so that information from the Hawks,
tomorrow,
we should get some more information on that. Staying with the goalies, can Spencer Knight become the Blackhawks franchise goalie that they hope he can be?
Yeah, I think so. I think they think so. They just paid him. They just paid him as such. I like what I saw from him. We talked about it with Sean Shapiro the other day. We've talked about it all summer. When you look deep into the numbers of Spencer Knight, they illustrate a very good goaltender, right up there with Jake Ottinger and Dustin Wolf in terms of goals save above expected per 60, which is a long-winded stat but a valuable stat. So yeah, I think he's the guy. I think they believe he's the guy, and this season he's going to get his first opportunity to play, 45, 50 games as a starter and really solidify that. And I think the Hawks are betting he's that guy, and I would take that bet too. I really like what I've seen from Spencer Knight. I love his mindset. I love his aura. I just think that he has a maturity and a wisdom about him that most players his age don't. Yeah. And I think Alex Vlasic is kind of similar in that regard, where he comes off as older and more mature than he actually is age-wise. So I think Spencer Knight has everything it takes to become a franchise goalie. Now, whether that means he is Shesterkin or, Hellebuck level goalie, that remains to be seen. But can he be this team starter when they're ready to win again? I think the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, this is a guy who has the pedigree, former first-round pick, was really instrumental with the U.S. national team at the juniors level, was a stud in college, and then got to the professional game and, learned some things about not only being a professional goalie, but about himself, and that was a very, public process for him. He's been open about, dealing with OCD and everything. And, he went down to the AHL at times with the Panthers organization, and then, was around that organization for their first Stanley Cup run. And he got to be around that atmosphere, be behind Sergei Bobrovsky, and learn from a guy who's won 2 Vezinas. That's really valuable. And Daily Faceoff did their ranking of the NHL's top 30 goalies. This was put together by Paul Paduti, who's been doing a lot of the analytics-based projections that we've kind of talked about this offseason, about, best players of 2030 and all that stuff. But they did their top 30 goalies going into this year, and Spencer Knight wasn't on the list of top 30 goalies going into the year, but the metric takes not only last season, but the 2 seasons before and kind of aggregates their production and everything like that. It listed there, if it only counted the 2024-2025 season, Spencer Knight would be ranked 25th out of the top 30 goalies in the NHL. And I think that's fair for right now.
Sure.
For what he's done and what he's going to
still a starter
potentially be able to do. And now he's getting the full-time opportunity in Chicago to be that guy. He's expressed he wants to be a 60-game starter in the NHL. He's getting paid to be a starter, and he's going to have the opportunity to do it. Now, is he going to play 60 games this year? Probably not. But if he does, that means something's going really well.
Yeah. Jason T says, do we ignore that Spencer seemed to go through a period of difficulties between the ears before being traded? That's the OCD situation we were talking about. He identified it. He got it treated. And as with anything that is a mental disorder, if you want to call it that, it is never a wash your hands of it and it's over sort of a thing. Right. Sorry to use the wash your hands reference. That was unintentional, because that was the thing he was doing, was just constantly washing his hands. But it's
not black.
It just doesn't end like that. Just like someone who stops smoking or someone who's got anxiety and depression, whatever. It doesn't just stop when I went to treatment and now it's over. Right. It's something that he will have to keep going throughout his entire career, probably after his career is over, is dealing with that. But when people say, why would anyone want to come to Chicago? This is some of the stuff we're talking about, is the Hawks have this, as much as any other team in the league, resources for their players in terms of medical, psychological, health and nutrition. They have top of the league level, accommodations for their players for whatever they need. So if Spencer Knight says, hey, I'm starting to have problems again, I'm feeling the things I was feeling a few years ago, I need some help for it. The Hawks and the league, truthfully, will step in and help.
Yeah, so we've seen that with a number of other players too. going through, the player assistance program for whatever reason, and then being able to come back and find their way back into what is the NHL life. And I think, especially for Knight, like, he's 23, 24. Like, that's still a very young person
100%.
going through a lot of change and challenge, especially at 22, 23 years old, being an NHL goaltender, like, and just being with the Panthers, a team that's got high expectations. Being a first-round pick as a goalie, you have a lot of expectations to eventually be the guy on that team. So there's a lot that goes into that. So, just kind of developing and maturing and going through, those hurdles in life, like, that's something that I wouldn't think that, this Blackhawks group is not going to see someone on this young roster have to deal with a lot of, like, life challenges and changes and dealing with pressure and expectation stuff. I mean, we talked about it with Connor Bedard as a teenager, having all the expectations, and a lot of these young guys are gonna have a lot of expectations on them. We're not innocent of placing those expectations on them, but I think that is part of the territory of being in the NHL and being talented players. Like, there are expectations, obviously, but it's how they can handle that, and it's different for each guy. But I think Spencer Knight is a good part of the group that's being put together here. You saw it with the promotional video that the Hawks did with Nazar and Bedard and Knight doing the train conductor thing. Nazar and Bedard were goofing off, and then all of a sudden Spencer Knight shows up for his part, and they straighten up and they get it done in one take. So it's just like, I think that point that you've made before about, like, how he kind of, like, has a little bit of a presence within the group. I think that's a real thing.
All right, we have an update on tomorrow's Hawks practices.
Ooh.
9:30 start. Team 1 practices at 9:30. Team 2 practices at 11:40. Kyle Davidson speaks at 10:25. So if you are going to practice, you don't have to be there at 8:30 anymore.
Oh, that's great.
Which is great. So 9:30 start for tomorrow.
That is welcomed.
So if you're headed to Fifth Third, no tickets are needed. You could just show up. But 9:30 will be the first session with Team 1, and then 11:40 Team 2. So it looks like they're tweaking things as they go here.
Did they kill Team 3?
Team 3.
Team 3 was supposed to be the 8:30 practice.
But I know
interesting.
We're running along on these, so we got to speed up. But I will say one thing, too, about the Bobrovsky Knight thing. Bobrovsky is a guy who went through a couple years where he was not meeting expectations.
Oh, yeah.
And overcame those. I think that's also something that, and I don't know what the relationship Knight and Bobrovsky had. Maybe it's something we can ask them, tomorrow. But I just think that, like, to be next to a guy who was super highly paid, massive expectations, that had a couple years where things were not going great, and he overcame it, that's something that could be beneficial for him too. So we'll get there. And Kevin says, will Kyle Davidson be live streamed? I don't know the answer to that, or practice for that instance. I doubt practice will be, but we will bring back the Kyle Davidson conversation during tomorrow's show at 2.
Yeah, not certain about Davidson. I would maybe lean towards they probably will, but don't.
Davidson, yes.
Don't hinge on
I don't
that.
think
Practice,
will be
no.
live
They
streamed,
haven't done that since Breakfast with the Blackhawks back when they were winning Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
That I used to watch on Facebook Live.
Good times.
That was a long time ago.
All right, what do we got next?
Who are the left side defensemen besides Alex Vlasic?
Well,
that's a loaded question.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna say without Kaiser signed, I think Grizzlick's gonna be one of them. If they don't get a deal done by the end of camp, I think Grizzlick's gonna be in the opening day lineup.
Interesting. The Kaiser situation, as we sit here at 2:54 p.m. the day before training camp with no indication that a contract is getting done by tomorrow, I'm at the point where if that's as many times as we've qualified that we think Wyatt Kaiser is a good player and the Blackhawks benefit from him being on the team and in camp and in the defensive rotation. If that's the player that's going to hold out, that is not the player that this season hinges on. And they brought in Matt Grizzlick, who's a veteran, who's a guy that can eat 16 minutes a night as a third pair. and you live with. You have young options in Kevin Korchinski, Ethan Del Mastro, and Nolan Allen that I think you'd be comfortable with any of those three playing in the NHL. So if that's the case, that's your left side behind Vlasic. And as Artem Levshunov would say, life goes on.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else you got on the left side?
I had, so in my positional predictions post, that's some good alliteration there. I had Vlasic, Korchinski, Kaiser, and then Crevier was the extra defenseman, but he's a right side guy. So I had Vlasic, Korchinski, Kaiser. Now I would probably say I'm going to stay with Vlasic and Korchinski because I think Kevin Korchinski has a chip on his shoulder or something to prove.
I hope so.
This training camp, and I think he's going to be a guy that can go out and do it. I would love to see that. If Kaiser's not in the fold, Grzelcyk, sure, but let's get him on an actual NHL contract first before I'm penciling him in.
Sure.
I'd go with Del Mastro.
People, man, just really Michael Evans, trade him. Screw it. People are just look.
You could. I don't know at this point what you get, but
don't be so mad.
You could.
It's business. Trying to take care of his eventual family. I'm not mad at Wyatt Kaiser. I'm a little confused by who he thinks he is. And I don't mean it like, who do you think you are, young man? I mean, no, really, who do you?
Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to a difference in dollars, okay, meet somewhere in the middle. He's a guy that has a lot of belief in himself, which is a good thing. We talk about that with Frank Nazar all the time. That's a good thing to have. You want guys to be confident in themselves. But you don't want someone to think that they are over their skis in what they are.
Yes, I'm thumbs upping Luke Stuckmeyer.
Yeah, the Cubs are going to the playoffs.
All right. What do you got next?
Where is Lucas Reichel's place on this team? He's not a prototypical fourth-line guy, even though that's where he spent basically all of last season. But does he warrant playing third line? Does he warrant playing in the top six? What do you do with this guy?
I cannot give you an answer because part of me believes he will not be here when the season starts.
He's at media. He's doing content today, so he's at least on the team.
I mean,
they're recording him in a Blackhawks jersey.
You have to until he's gone. But I hope that Lucas Reichel, as you're talking about the chip on the shoulder of Kevin Korchinski, I hope Lucas Reichel has at this camp and comes out and says, you are giving me a top 6 spot or a top 9 spot on this roster, and I'm taking it.
Yeah.
I want to see that from him because, look, he is a nice, soft-spoken kid. He's got a lot of skill. He's got clearly has hockey ability, but I just think that killer instinct has not been there for him. They put him with Pat Maroon, and if Pat Maroon can't find your killer instinct, that's a bit of a concern for me. So, look, it's a fresh start for him. Whole new coaching staff aside from Sorensen, and Sorensen was the guy coaching him when he was at his best. So Sorensen, probably more than anybody, believes in what Lucas Reichel can do. So I just want to see him. I don't know what his spot is on this team, but I'm really hopeful that tomorrow, when whatever team he's on hits the ice, he is one of the most outstanding players out there, most noticeable guys out there.
I would love that. Yep. I would love that for him because I believe in the skill set that he has. It's just how do you get it out of him consistently? And yes. I think that's the big key there. Charlie, the bacon guy, is asking if Kaiser doesn't sign, what happens to him? Is he a UFA? The deadline for restricted free agents that do not have a contract, that if they want to play in this season, is December 1st. So if we get to December 1st at 4 p.m. Central, they will not play. He will not play in the 25-26 season. So I recently remember, was it William Nylander, much higher profile player?
A little bit.
Held out a few years back, and I think it was early November that he signed his deal with the Maple Leafs a few years back. But it's very rare that you get to that point, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
We are going to hit overtime. So if you're watching us on Roku, if you're watching us on Samsung, if you're watching us on the Xfinity channel, head on over to allchgo.com to find where to continue watching the show.
We'll finish it out on those outlets.
That's right. All right, what do we got next?
We got three more.
All right, let's go.
Three more. What happens with the expiring contract players, notably Nick Foligno, Connor Murphy, Jason Dickinson, and Ilya Mikheyev?
I think 3 of the 4 are traded. I think
of the 4.
Mikheyev, Dickinson, and Murphy are traded. I think that they let Foligno finish the year as captain. Foligno probably retires. I would not be shocked if he ends up with a role in the organization somewhere, if that's what he so desires, his post-career to be.
Sure.
But I think it is time to set Connor Murphy free and say, you've been a good boy. It is time for you to experience some playoff hockey he did beat the Oilers in the playoffs in the bubble, but go play some real playoff hockey.
Legitimate.
You have certainly earned it.
You're on a real playoff team.
And I think the emergence of, the possible arrival of Boisvert and Frondel in March, along with, 2/3 of a season in Rockford for Ryan Green and Samuel Savoie and AJ Spellisy and all these young players I think are going to make room for him. If I do think one of those 3 might come back, I wouldn't be shocked if Ilya Mikheyev keeps a role here, just because I feel like he'd be inexpensive, add some nice veteran depth, great penalty killer. So I wouldn't hate if they brought Mikheyev. You can't go all kids. You can't be 100% prospects. So I wouldn't mind that, but I think that they might find some. If he has a season like last year, I think Mikheyev might garner some attention at the trade deadline.
Yeah. In my piece that I wrote for ALLCITY.com, I said essentially the same thing. I think Foligno plays out the year and hands off the team to the next generation. I think Connor Murphy gets himself to a contender. I think Jason Dickinson also gets that treatment as well, of hey, we understand there's been some good and some bad in Chicago for you, but let's get you to a team that's going to give you that opportunity.
If I'm a
to play
playoff
in the
team,
postseason.
adding Jason Dickinson, a healthy Jason Dickinson,
I don't think that's a bad.
That is a really nice under the radar deadline pick.
Not a bad move for a team like that.
Yeah.
I also could also see Jason Dickinson if he gets to return to that form that we saw 2 seasons ago. I could see them keeping him around on a 2-year deal or something like that, because that is a guy that you could put as a 3rd line, 4th line center. That's a guy that can play penalty kill. And that's a guy that, for as much as people are oh, he's such a downer and just complain, he's honest. He's a guy that was honest and real about the perspective of the veterans amongst a organization that is so pushing forward with the young guys. It's just he was kind of these guys got to prove that they can be in the NHL before we're even crowning, the Hawks as, the rebuild's over and all this stuff. He's being real about it.
Yeah,
which I
have
don't
no
fault
problem with
him
that. I like Jason Dickinson. Yeah, I do think there is that perception that he's Mr. Poopy Pants. But no, I think he's just open and honest about the way he's feeling, and that's the kind of guy. Sprout says Dickey doesn't want to be here. I don't think that's true. I think he would prefer to compete. As most athletes, if you said, would you like to be winning? Yes, I would like to be winning.
If he didn't want to be here, he wouldn't have signed a contract extension to have been here longer than he was expected to be here.
And he knew what he was signing up for.
And I'd have to go back and find it. But he said, you can see what this team is building.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of that.
Right.
And I have to play my way into being a part of that.
Right.
I'm not just going to be handed that opportunity, because they are going to give opportunities to all these young guys. A player in his position needs to outplay those guys and say, no, I'm more valuable to you right now than 20-year-old Oliver Moore that you want to push ahead of me. No, I'm going to play my way into being here because I want to be a part of this thing moving forward. That's the mentality that those guys have. And to a lot of fans, I'm sure that's well, then he's in the way of these young guys. It was well, you got to have NHL players who can play NHL hockey before you just throw the Ice Hogs into the NHL.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. Speaking of blocking young players.
Yes.
What opportunities are there for young forwards? As much as we've talked about the youth of this team this season and the young guys jumping in and the Blackhawks are going to be young and exciting, it's mostly focused on the defensemen, because 5 out of 6 of them are going to be under 23 years old or 24 years old. The forwards group, yes, you have Bedard and Nazar. who else is part of that? What spots are there for guys like Colton Dock, Oliver Moore, Lucas Reichel, keep him in that group too? Like, what actual spots are out there for him?
That's a good question. I always like to see what Daily Faceoff projects. And they've got Bedard, Donato, Burakovsky, Nazar, Teravainen, Bertuzzi, Dickinson, Mikheyev, Foligno, Lafferty, Slaggert, Moore. So I'm looking at this realistically as there are probably 3 roster spots and 2 forward positions open for like 5 guys. I think that Moore's got a shot. I think Slaggert's got a shot. I think Slaggert's the favorite. I think Colton Dock has a shot. And obviously Lafferty's going to be on the team. I think Ryan Green's got a shot.
Yeah, I think that you look at the opportunities, it's basically all bottom 6.
Yeah.
And Oliver Moore, he could play as a bottom 6 player. You want
100%.
him to be, a little bit more than a bottom 6 player, but he can play that style. Landon Slaggert obviously can play that style. Colton Dock can be a bottom 6 power forward. I just wonder, though, if they want or if they'd prefer most of those young guys get top 6 opportunities and assignments in Rockford, playing 18-plus minutes a night in the AHL over, well, we really like Oliver Moore, so we're going to play him 12 minutes a night next to Nick Foligno and Sam Lafferty. Like, it'll be interesting to see how they look at the roster situation, look at the opportunities those players are going to have and the roles they'll play, and where they value that time. And Oliver Moore could be, I'm like 50-50 on he's either in the AHL or NHL to start.
I think
season.
Lucas Reichel's performance is going to have a lot to say about what happens with Oliver Moore.
Yes.
All right.
I agree.
Last one.
Can Jeff Blashill and company get this team to the 30-win benchmark? 25 wins last season. I know we've talked this offseason about it's not necessarily about wins and losses. It's more or less how it looks. But if it looks good, is it 5 more wins better than last season?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think 5 more wins is reasonable. Yeah, I mean, you had a situation that was so bad last year, you fired your coach third of the way through the season. You brought in a guy who reinvented the entire system, so that cost you some wins. So you have an underachieving start, a transitional middle, and a decently strong finish. So, yeah, I think 5 more wins over the course of 82 is certainly doable, yes.
I agree. I think this is the first head coach that the Blackhawks will have had that had any prior NHL experience since they fired Joel Quenneville in November of 2018.
Yeah.
So I think that in and of itself is a step up from what they've had with interim coaches and with Luke Richardson and everything like that. So I think that's a big piece of it. It's going to take some time, obviously, for players and coaches to mesh and everything. But I think with the approach that we've heard from Jeff Blashill and how he's going to approach this team, how he wants them to play, I think you have a group that's got a good mix of players that can play that style, that can buy into it. And I think you have enough young talent that gives you a little bit of an injection of that, like, youth, that energy. Speed, obviously, is a part of pretty much every one of those young players' game that they can bring to the lineup. So that's a big part of it as well. And I think you expect improvements from Bedard and Nazar and Vlasic, like growth in those players. And then most of these veterans, we're just expecting, like, be the player that you're supposed to be. You don't need to be anything more than that. Just don't be less than that.
100%. Yeah. And someone, I think it was Brian Magnuson, said he wants to see Samuel Savoie get a shot. And look, I think that with a new coaching staff, you don't have any preconceived notions on guys. I think
not really. Young
players like that, Savoie, who are right on the cusp of the NHL, will get a good look and will have the opportunity to earn a spot on this team. It doesn't feel to me that talking to Jeff Blashill and listening to Jeff Blashill that anything is settled right now. And I don't think Kyle Davidson has any problem if he's like, you know what, I don't want Reichel or Moore right now. I want Savoie because this team is missing a physical,
like that,
crap disturber. on the roster. So let's give him a shot. And I don't think Kyle Davidson would object to that. So we'll see. And that's just an example. I'm not saying it's just Savoie, but if Nick Lourdes lights the world on fire, maybe he gets. I think there are opportunities for a lot of guys here. It's not a lot of spots, but there's a lot of opportunity. So camp should be very exciting. Lots of news will be coming out of there. Reminder, if you just joined us, practice round moved to 9:30. No more 8:30 starts. If you're going to Fifth Third, 9:30 beginning. We'll be here with you at 2 o'clock when practice ends with fresh tape from Kyle Davidson, players in the locker room, all the stuff you get from us in season. Because guess what? As soon as Katie hits that end music that features the dulcet tones of One Big Dave, the offseason's over. So you know what? Katie, do the honors, end the offseason right now.
Officially end the offseason.
Yes.
Yes.
We all silly like the mayor.